Who makes you laugh the most? The one person that you think, "This is the person that makes just I
Oh,
just get a kick out of, that just makes me laugh the most on set."
it's Caleb.
Caleb? Always been
It's
Caleb,
Caleb.
hasn't it?
It's always been Caleb. It's always been Caleb. But oh man, he's so funny on camera and he's so funny off camera. And I don't. He's so funny when he doesn't even try to be. And but he knows. He has like this. There's like a nuanced touch to like how he knows exactly how to make every individual. He's like perfected his humor and shaped it around all of us. He's like, I know it's going to get Gaten right now because of the many years that I've been working with him. And the last day I had on set,
Who's the hardest to make
the
laugh?
hardest to break
Yeah.
between takes. I do not break much.
Really?
On I don't, and it used to be quite a skill of mine where we could be joking around and laughing quite a lot, and then they could yell action, and then I could just be in, which was really fun to do early on. I think that might have had to do with me doing a lot of theater beforehand because you can't. Because I mean, sometimes you inevitably do. You inevitably have moments where you're just like, but you have to be really good at just like not giving in. Don't let those thoughts. There's like a weird saying where I was doing a bit with a friend of mine backstage, and I thought about that bit on stage, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to start pissing myself. I'm going to start laughing on stage right now. And he says, don't ever let those thoughts into your head. And I don't know why that stuck with me, where anytime I think about that, I'm just like, all right, I can't let that thought into my head. So I pick it up and I just put it away just
I
for a second.
I can't, I'm okay with it. I'm pretty, but when I was doing theater, there's one time we were doing it of all shows, Macbeth. And my friend Roger goes,
Such a funny one.
my friend,
A real knee slapper.
I know, but my friend goes, the horror, and the way he said it, I just thought it was so ridiculous. And just the way he
Yo, I
said it,
love it.
I looked at him like this, and I went, and he goes, don't do it. Like he said, don't do it, man. And it's live audience, and I go,
Yeah,
and
of
I
course.
turned my head and I looked around for a minute. I got my composure, and I go, just call.
That's what you do. There's always you can see that head turn.
Yeah, just
you
call
always
the
see
evil,
people
most
look
miraculous
away.
work of this good king. And I went on with my speech.
It's so fun to break on camera, but there are some days where, like, if it's happened too much or if it's just not the right vibe on set, it cannot look good. So there are times where, like, I've had situations where burping, of course, where I will just like really have usually on long days where you're so tired, the dumbest things are funny.
Oh yes.
Where like you're just slap happy. We have those all the time where it's like we're doing really intense work and I'm just giggling. And the sun's about to come
And they
up.
get
We're
mad.
supposed
They
to
don't have
do this
time for it.
before.
They're like, come,
Yeah,
enough,
and like
come
there's
on.
times where like it's not fun, where it's like, dude, you have to get it together and you have to do this.
We got spoken to by one of the producers came up to us, came in our trailer and said, hey, I want you guys in the trailer. I go, like, hey, you yesterday, we were shooting film, and they were like, there's like 20 minutes of just like you guys just falling apart, not focused, what's going on. And I go, I always know my lines, man. I mean, I just couldn't stop laughing. I'm sorry. And then we started laughing. We're like, no, but we'll make sure we don't do it. What is the longest day you could ever recall on Stranger Things?
I think it probably approached 14, 15 hours, which is that's a pretty solid day. Like, I know that there are a lot of people though, like, because thankfully, because of, we're working under SAG after and stuff, there are just requirements. Like, we have a mandatory, I think it's a 10 or 12 hour turnover, which is really, really nice. So like we get that time. But there are people under different unions who only have like a 9 hour turnover. There are some who don't have a turnover at all, which, like, for those watching, is just like how much time you get between the end of one workday and the start of another. So I know people who have worked on sets, a lot of times ADs or PAs, who have worked like 21, 22-hour days, sometimes over 24-hour days.
I did 24 hours on my last day of Smallville ever.
Here.
They had me for
on your last day. They made it like
because
that. Why would they do that?
I came back just for the series finale, and they gave me a ball cap and all this stuff, and it took a lot of time. And I was there for 24 hours. They had me one day. I told them, you guys got me one day, so they used me 24 hours. They switched crews. They did it. And I was like, I was like, fine. I was like, you got me one day. Use me. I don't care. I was
How'd you
exhausted.
like it though? Did you kind of love that?
I mean,
You hated it?
no one likes working 24 hours, but for that, my
For sure.
adrenaline and like the knowing it was the end and this is it, I was kind of
Yeah.
there to say goodbye and hang out with people, and it was kind of fine.
Yeah. Those days feel like the night shoots are crazy. That's when I like get like a little bit like it starts slap happy, and if you get too slap happy too early, you know that it's going to turn to being grumpy. That's just like the
Yeah.
progression of things. So if it's like 2 a.m. and I'm like giggly, I'm like, fuck. Because I know once 5 comes around, I'm not going to be feeling very, very good right now.
Have you ever just lost your shit on set? We're like, guys, come on.
No, no. I've had moments of frustration, but like you just always have to remember that like as frustrated as you are, everybody else is equally as frustrated.
Right.
So if your grips can't lose their shit, why do you have the right to lose your shit? Keep it together. Like that's just my thing.
I have lost my shit, but I do it in a funny way where I'm like,
oh, I've had times where I've like I remember I went into a corner and I punched a chair.
ooh.
But it was like right there. I just went like, and it was funny because like there wasn't anybody really there except Nick, our stay came up, and he was like, "You good?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." That hurt. Like, it did not come across as badass. It more was just like, fuck.
I remember one time I was doing this close up, or it wasn't a close up, maybe a medium shot. And there was so much smoke coming in the room, and I could see from my peripheral, I saw Russ, who I love, God rest his soul, big burly guy with a beard, and he's wafting the smoke, and I just go like this. I was talking, and I was like going this. I was like, listen, I go, Russ, enough with the fucking smoke. And everybody laughed. He goes, just doing my job, Michael. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, Michael, like,
Somebody tell him not to do his job.